You ever look at a clothing label and just get this feeling it's not telling you the whole story? Well, today we're putting on our detective hats. We're going to investigate what's really in the clothes we wear every day and finally crack that fabric code.
I mean, seriously, think about it. The labels can be super vague, a little misleading, or, especially with thrifted clothes, they're just missing altogether. So when you grab a shirt that says 100% cotton, how can you really be sure? Is it the real deal, or is there a synthetic secret hiding in those threads? Let's find out.
So, where do we start? Well, every good investigation kicks off with a field test. And our first technique is an absolute classic, the burn test. It's surprisingly simple, pretty effective, and it can give you your first major clue right at home, as long as you're careful, of course.
Think of this chart as our evidence locker. It lays out exactly how different fabrics react when they meet a flame. You've got the way it burns, the smell it gives off, and what's left behind. Each one is a crucial clue that helps us build a profile of our fabric suspect.
Now, let's zoom in on two of the most common materials out there, pure cotton and pure polyester. Just look at that. It's night and day, right? Their reactions to the flame couldn't be more different, and that visual contrast is exactly what we're looking for.
The differences are just so clear. See, cotton is a natural plant fiber, so it burns fast, smells kind of like burning paper or leaves, and it leaves behind this soft, fine ash. But polyester, totally different story. It's a plastic, so it melts and shrinks away from the flame, often puts itself out, and leaves behind this hard, black little bead. No ash at all. It's a completely different chemical reaction. This little field test is fantastic for identifying pure, 100% fibers. But the second you're dealing with a blend, like a super common cotton poly mix, the clues get all muddled. To get a definitive, no doubt about it answer, we have to take our investigation to the next level. We've got to go to the lab.
Okay, let's head into the lab. In here, we can use chemical analysis to slice right through all the guesswork and figure out the exact percentage of each fiber in a blend. This is where we get the cold, hard facts.
So how does this work? Well, the process itself is really methodical. We start with a fabric sample of a very specific weight. Then we introduce a chemical that's designed to target and dissolve only one of the fibers, in this case, the cotton. Once that's gone, we just weigh what's left behind. It's really just a process of elimination.
Now, the real key to this whole operation is using sulfuric acid at a very specific concentration. You can think of it like a chemical scalpel. If the acid is too weak, it won't get rid of all the cotton. But if it's too strong, it'll start eating away at the polyester, and that would totally wreck our results. That 60 to 75% range is the absolute sweet spot to get a clean separation.
And I have to pause here for a super important reminder. We are working with acid. This is absolutely something that needs to be done in a controlled lab with all the right gear. Safety here is 100% non-negotiable.
All right, the lab work is done, the fibers are separated, now for the really fun part. Let's crunch the numbers and finally crack the code on our mystery fabric.
So, if you remember, we started our experiment with a fabric sample that weighed exactly 5 grams. That's our starting point.
And after the sulfuric acid worked its magic and all the cotton was dissolved, we were left with just the pure polyester. We cleaned it up, dried it out, and it weighed in at just 2 grams.
The formula to figure out the rest is actually wonderfully simple. You just take that final weight, divide it by the original weight we started with, and then multiply by 100 to get the percentage. Easy enough. So let's plug in our numbers. 2 grams divided by 5 grams, that's 0.4. Multiply that by 100 and boom, there it is. Our fabric is precisely 40% polyester.
And hey, if 40% of our sample is polyester, well, the rest is simple math, right? The other 60%, the part that vanished, had to be the cotton. So the mystery is officially solved. We are looking at a classic 60-40 cotton poly blend. Case closed. So we did it. We solved the puzzle. It's a neat piece of science for sure, but why does this actually matter to you when you're out shopping or even just doing your laundry?
Well, for the manufacturers, a lot of the time it just comes down to money. Creating specific blends can be a really smart way to cut costs, or maybe to get a certain look, like that Heather t-shirt style, without having to use more expensive dyes.
But for you, this knowledge is a superpower. It helps you understand what you're actually paying for. It tells you exactly how to take care of your clothes so they last. It helps you make way smarter choices when you're at the thrift store or tackling a DIY project. It's really all about seeing the true quality of a garment, way beyond what's printed on that little tag.
So, the next time you pick up a t-shirt, you're going to see it a little differently.
You now have the detective's tools to ask the question, what is this really made of? And it kind of makes you wonder, what other secrets are hiding in your closet right now?